Right, here we are,
Here we are,
another video.
yet again.
Today we're here to talk about a ghost hunt we went on at the Thackray Medical Museum. You'll see on your screen now a picture of said medical museum.
Oh, look at that. It's got windows and a door.
So the medical museum in the Victorian era was a workhouse for poor people, peasants and the like, where they were allowed to live if they worked. I guess they probably just worked all day, every day. Children as well, because they didn't care. I'm sure the conditions worked very well. And then there was a medicinal wing built onto it to treat them, because I imagine they weren't living very long, getting injured all the time. And then during the First World War, it was turned into a temporary hospital for soldiers, which I believe the actual hospital, which is next to, is part of the same building, but it's not.
Hospital.
Yeah, St James's Hospital was built after that, so it kind of continued as a hospital from there on. But then the actual original building, which we were in here, got turned into a museum. That's me. We're outside in the parking lot. We did this with a group called Past Souls Paranormal, which you found on FaceB.
Facebook, yeah. Thought it was definitely the vibe for us. Well, we decided to go in the daytime first because you thought you'd never been to the Thackray Medical Museum.
I may or may not have been. I'm not sure.
As a child. I've been a few times as a kid with school and with grandparents.
Yeah, so we thought let's go during the day first and have the actual tour of the museum before going to the ghost hunt in the evening. The ghost hunt was from 8 p.m. until 2 a.m, so it was a long night.
Past our bedtime.
Past our usual bedtime, yeah. And the one thing Ren had told me about the medical museum was that there was an infamous poo pie that we were to find. I didn't yet know if this was a pie made of poo or it was a pie located near poo, but we did find the poo pie in the end. So this is the layout. This is all from these first images are from our daytime visit, just as our little look around. There are 2 floors. Downstairs, Disease Street, pretty fun. Upstairs, not quite as fun, but some interesting stuff still.
Yeah.
So this little girl, it starts talking. See, we went in there wasn't hardly anyone there.
Yeah.
And we start going into this room, and immediately I'm like, oh, there's people in this room.
Yeah, it
There
kept
isn't.
happening.
There
We kept
isn't.
hearing that because it was all set up to, like, for the experience, and we kept hearing people talking in the next room, and then it turned out it was just videos of things set up.
This one is a little girl talking to us, and it's a video, but it sounds, I mean, it is a real person, but it sounds like if you didn't already notice that there was a video running, you would just think there was someone in there. Through Disease Street, there's a lot of sound effects and like voices to mimic like it was a Victorian street during the time. So you're hearing a lot of stuff, and then you look around and it's like, oh, there's no one actually here. It's just this voice.
Yeah.
So she went on, and then
She went on and on. She
just
wouldn't shut up.
Wouldn't shut up, and then she repeated, and so we sat there and watched that. That was pretty interesting. It was quite, like I say, it was quite dead when we went.
Yeah, there was like no one there, but we were going near closing.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the day. So this is a little bit further into Disease Street.
Them kids in that doorway that I thought were real and scared the absolute crap
Did
out
they?
of me.
Did
They
they scare
did.
you? Yeah.
They got me.
And there's the Black Dog there, which is the pub, I guess. The made-up pub for the time. It may have been a real pub, I don't know. So this is, in that little cart that you saw in the previous picture, this is what happens when you open the door, and they've got some little...
Oh yeah, I just thought this was relevant because it's what is it? Famous female pills
For females.
for women folk.
For female ailments and obstructions, whatever the hell that means. Most likely just, hardcore drugs to make you shut up. That's what most of this stuff was, I gathered. That's a pig.
Pig.
There was a pig there. Obviously, that's not a real pig. But I guess the idea is to show you that there would just be livestock
Just hanging
on
about.
the street. It's not like it is now. This is a mock-up of a butchery at the time, which, I mean, I don't think I've been to or seen an actual... like, there's the butchers at the supermarket, but that's not the same as, like, an actual butchery. So I don't know...
I've been to one in Whitby.
Yeah? Was it anything like this?
It's a bit cleaner.
bit cleaner than this, yeah. Sanitation wasn't a big issue, I guess, at the time. But fresh meat.
Mm-hmm. The poo pie!
Right here you can see the poo pie. And it is not, in fact, a pie made of poo. It is a pie located next to the toilets.
I was a child and I named it the poo pie. But the smell in this room, they mimic bad smells in this room.
Yeah. I don't know where the odor's coming from. But there's a smell in there that they've definitely...
It is intentionally done because it says, like, witness the sights, sounds and smells.
Yeah. Here's a little video. There are no voices or anything in this video, so we don't really need audio.
There's the poo pies.
Just so you have a little bit of an idea of what it's like. So this was a little room where Ren was stuck.
I wasn't stuck.
So they had a lot of sort of ajar doors, so you can have a peek in and see what life would be like in these buildings. And this, what I'm looking through is one of the ajar doors, and Ren's just at the window on the other side. There's some creepy looking lifelike models in there of people, which you can imagine when it got to night time, sometimes could be a bit spooky.
A little bit spooky, yeah. Another
video here.
Oh, just wanted to point out Sabbath and Black Sabbath was the reference.
Yeah. Yeah,
that guy in the window scared me, and scared various others on the ghost hunt as well.
Yeah, they're kind of creepy looking.
It's very realistic looking. They're really good. A selfie.
A selfie of Ren.
That's
in the Black Dog.
That's the Black Dog, yeah.
That's Ren in the Black Dog. You shouldn't be in there. You don't drink.
Sorry. I wasn't drinking.
So this is in the mortuary, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think this was the real place, but this was a mock-up, I guess, of the theatre where they do surgeries and stuff, and people would watch. Mm-hmm. I guess because they didn't have Always Sunny to watch or anything like that, so...
Can't watch Brassic.
Yeah. So they'd just come and watch people getting their legs chopped off and that. There was a video there of them performing...
leg amputation.
It was a leg amputation, but it was the first time they used any proper anaesthetic. So the patient, at least in theory, didn't feel any pain, but they used the method that they'd been using up to that point, which was to do it as quick as possible because they didn't have an anaesthetic. And you had to get that off quickly before they'd be wriggling about and cause themselves more trouble. So here's another little video. Just a little video in the mortuary. This was the last area when we did the actual ghost hunt that we went into, and before we became unsupervised. This was some of the stuff upstairs now. There's a lot of old medical equipment. That's us.
And Frank.
And Frank the skeleton.
But then there was a cabinet in front of where we're taking the picture with a real skull in it.
True, yes, there was a real skull in there. Just some guy and some Sudanese military surgery kit. Pretty cool. Anyway, so that's the end of our daytime visit. And then we ended up in a session. So this is an image you've already seen, but there's a reason for that. So let's explain. So when we joined in, first thing we come in and they asked us for our names, right? And we weren't on the list.
We weren't on the list, even though we paid, we had a ticket and everything. They didn't even want to see the ticket, they just wanted the name, and the name wasn't on the list.
So they were organising everyone into different areas, but we weren't on the list. So we got told to stand to one side. And once everyone else was in, then he said, okay, you go be part of B team, wasn't it?
We were Group C, weren't we?
No, we were B.
Ah.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
So then we started talking to some of the people in the team. They were all quite nice. Mm-hmm. Everyone was ready for a good time.
Yeah.
So that was good. So they split us up into groups. So there was 3 people running the event, and we would spend the first session with one of them, and the second session with and the third session with the final one. Now, first session was with a lady called Zena, who was nice. I like Zena. She was lovely. And she first took us down here to the Disease Street. And the reason we don't have images is because of what she had us do. So we were somewhere in here. It was this area, was it?
Yeah, it's like around about where that white is on the floor is like where we were standing in a circle.
So we did something they called a human pendulum, where we all had to stand in a circle and hold hands. Hence no picture taking. You can't use your phone when you're holding hands. And then we had one person, a volunteer, who would stand in the middle. The idea was that we would reach out to the spirits and that the spirits would push or pull her to have her lean forward or backwards to answer yes or no to questions, right? Mm-hmm. So we started that, and pretty much straight away she started leaning.
Yeah.
And she was saying that it was weird, like she wasn't intentionally leaning.
Yeah.
And it was a genuine thing. So she's asking questions, and there was stuff about, I can't remember the specifics, but something about we made contact with a little boy, didn't we?
Yeah.
7-year-old boy or something. And they're asking questions, this, that, and the other. What did you think about all that? Did you think any of that was genuine, or was it all in the head, or?
I think when we first started it, when we all joined hands, I was like, my heart was going pitter-pat. I was like, oh, here we go, the real deal. And then we got into it, and it was a bit more fun. Because, I mean, you just stand still. You start leaning, you feel yourself leaning, you can't just stay still. So, like, I was a bit not too sure. But I was having fun with it, and I think Xena did a really good job with the questions she was asking. She knew what questions to ask. She was trying to encourage us, but obviously we were all strangers. This was our first ghost hunt, but she kept it going, so she kept it, you know, it didn't just, like, fall quiet and we didn't have all going on. I was enjoying it, but then it got a bit spooky.
Right. So, I mean, like you say, I agree that when it's dark, so you're missing a lot of your sort of visual senses, and you're intentionally trying to stand still.
Yeah.
If you go and do it, like if you just stand in a room in the dark and try and stand still, or just close your eyes and try and stand still, you'll start leaning, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit skeptical as to whether or not that was anything. But like you say, it got spooky. There was a noise in the back of the room.
Well, actually, before that, me and them 3 lasses that were like as a group in our group.
Yeah.
I can't remember their names. We heard it, and it's right where the door to the black dog is. So right where that door is, there was like feet shuffling. And I was looking over that way. So the girl that had the flashlight hanging from the wrist strap from her mouth, because we were all holding hands. So she was holding the light. None of them moved, but I heard feet shuffling. They all reacted and were like, oh my God, what was that? And then the lass that was, so we were like opposite them. So the lass that was holding Sam's hand on the other side, she was like, oh, sorry, I was just moving my hair. And everyone was like, oh, that's what it was. And I was like, it wasn't that. Everyone brushed it off, so I was like, okay, maybe I didn't hear it. But I definitely heard feet shuffling, and they all reacted and turned to there, but then she was on the other side being like, oh, it was my hair. I don't think that's what it was. I think we definitely heard something. And then, a bit later...
The other noise, which was in the same room, and we kind of sussed out... Everyone heard the noise, I think, although not everyone necessarily admitted to it straight away. But I think everyone heard the noise, and once someone had said, oh, what was that? We all realised we weren't actually sure. This was happening behind the circle, so in theory, as far as we knew, there was no one else there. And we think we sussed out that it was a door handle or a door chain or something.
So, because it's like a set piece, the way it's set up, the doors are like ajar, so you can look in the door and see a bit more, but there's like metal bars that are suspending the doors on an angle, suspending it open. And then one of them, when we were leaving, one of them like messed with that and it made the same sound. So we established that was probably the sound we heard, but no one was near that door when we were all standing in a circle holding hands.
The only person near that door was the model, the creepy lifelike
the one
models.
in the window.
Yeah, so unless that guy came to life, I don't know.
Don't say that. I've watched too many episodes of Doctor Who.
So that was what happened there. You know, ultimately, there wasn't anything super notable about what we heard from the conversation with the spirit, if that's what it was. But those two noises were a little bit genuinely unexplained. So after that, we moved upstairs to the apothecary room. The apothecary room, yeah. So when we got into this room, Xena was basically like, right, we're doing Ouija board. So, she understands some people weren't comfortable with that. Ren wasn't comfortable with that. So she said, anyone who doesn't want to do the Ouija board, put your hand up. So a number of us put our hands up, and she set up this board for us with these dice. And while we were doing that, they went off and did a Ouija board in the same room, so they weren't far away, but it wasn't part of the same group. Yeah. So these dice each had letters drawn on it, all the sides, and the idea was you pick them up You ask the spirits the questions and you chuck them down, and then the letters that would land face up would make out words that would be answers to the questions.
Yeah.
Is the idea. We got a few different responses. I think the most notable thing that we got was that we were asking about names, asking for names of people, and one of the names that came through was the name Ian. And we'd done that, and then we'd done a few more throws and asking questions and stuff, and then I overheard the guys at the Ouija board session were also talking to someone called Ian. Little bit of an odd coincidence there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're going to put the skeptical hat on, they probably just overheard me saying Ian and then, started. Whether I'm not saying they were necessarily doing
subconsciously.
Yeah, subconsciously. They weren't necessarily intentionally moving the planchette to those letters, but subconsciously that name's in their head and then they just accidentally start moving it. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it was a ghost. Who knows? No sounds or anything in this one. Do you have anything to say about what do you think about this whole dice thing?
I think it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I didn't take it seriously though at all because my name came up so many times.
Yeah.
Multiple names came up so many times. My name came up so many times though.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because there's so many dice and you just drop them, I think it's far too easy to just find whatever you want in it. I think there was a couple where things landed like in a line, like not just jumbled up and you just kind of move into what you want, but they were like already spelling out the word. And those were a little bit more interesting because the chances are quite a bit slimmer.
Oh yeah, so that's still the apothecary. That cat ball on the floor there.
Yeah.
Was one of them where it interacts and it lights up.
They had them around quite a few times while we were doing it.
Nothing really happened with them.
Yeah, they didn't really do much, unfortunately. But because I think they're quite a good. If something were to happen to them, it's quite a good indicator because no one's touching them, and you do need to kind of actually smack them a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
to get it to do anything. So if they were lighting up, as long as we could determine that no one had actually touched it, I think that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nothing much happened with them, even though we had them throughout most of the night. Right, so next, after we finished that session with Xena, we moved on. She didn't want to let us go, but we had to move on. So we went on to our session 2 with Courtney. So with Courtney, we first went downstairs, back down to Disease Street. And what you see here is an image of Ren doing the spirit box, the Estes method, they call it.
Yeah.
So basically, Ren has the spirit box. It sweeps through radio waves quite fast, and Ren puts the headphones on, and she will listen out for any words. And specifically Courtney was asking questions, and the idea is that the spirits will mess with the words or the noises that will come through in order to make words. So if you hear any words, in theory, the idea is it's going fast enough that no intelligible words should come through. So if you hear words, it's because it's been manipulated by the spirits to make an actual word. In theory. So Ren was coming out with all sorts of stuff while this was going on. She had a lot to say, or the spirits had a lot to say through Ren. I'm not totally sure how much of it was genuine.
What do you mean? Genuine what? I said the words I heard. I think the spirits picked me out because I am the loudest. Because
here's the thing. Later on after this, with Courtney, we went upstairs and I tried the spirit box. There was a lot of noise, but none of it was intelligible words, but if I really wanted to, I could listen to that and make words. I can decide, this sounds a bit like this word, and then I could have just said it. You know what I mean?
You weren't getting full words.
I mean,
I get like a few words in a row. Like I get like a bit of a sentence, which was a bit longer than what it was going through when I was just getting the odd word. I was getting like 2 words at a time.
It's because it is going through these radio frequencies, and there is the radio going right. So the problem with it is the radio isn't a single. The frequencies that the radios are on, it's on a band, it's on a span. So it's not like it's 11.11 is one radio frequency, and you go to 11.12 is a second one. That's not how it works. So as it's cycling through it, inevitably you're on the same radio station essentially for a little while. So you can get words, you can get sentences even. Yeah. You said you heard Gangster's Paradise even, so
for like a second.
Right, but you could pick out what that is because it's like if you were somewhere with absolutely no radio signal, you're not picking anything up, and something came through, that's a bit different.
Yeah.
But there was plenty of radio noise going on. So I don't know. Like I say, there was a lot of noises when I was doing it, but I couldn't justifiably say this is clearly being intentionally picked out as a word to me. I would have had to have just been like, yeah, I can kind of hear it, and it's probably this word. Maybe I'd say it, but it was too much just that's what they were saying on the radio.
That's crazy. Because there were full words picked out for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I failed my hearing test as a child, Sam.
It's true, you did fail your hearing test. So, there was one guy, so when we were doing the dice,
Yeah.
and your name was coming up a lot.
Yeah.
There's a guy there, and we were trying to see if we could get the spirits to say his name. He wouldn't tell us his name. Eventually, he did tell us his name, and then, as you were doing the spirit box, his name came up.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
I think not.
Probably, though.
Yeah,
So
probably.
then...
Well, he had a very generic name.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that going on. People seem to be into that. Then she put down this torch. As you can see in this image, there's a torch on the step.
Oh, to the right, yeah.
Yeah, or just on the bottom right. I don't know if it's a particular type of torch, but they called it a mag light because they all called it the same thing. So I don't know if it's because they all had the same type of torch, or if that was for some reason what they call this particular experiment. The idea is that they put the torch down and they unscrew it, basically, so that the wires that would connect to have the torch light up are just not quite connected. So then it's off. Yeah. And the idea is that you say to the spirits, can you turn the torch on to answer yes, or, turn it off and on again. Either way, it's just trying to get them to interact with it. So she'd done that, and this torch was just going off, on and off all the time.
Yeah.
And she was asking it, and she was saying things like, you're really enjoying that torch, you're turning it on all the time and stuff. I'm like, there's no intelligence to the way this torch is turning on. So, I'm not so sure, but that was going off and on all the time. They also had cat balls in this session.
Yeah. But the whole time this was all happening, I was stood in that doorway with the headphones on doing the spirit box. And that was terrifying because there was a completely pitch black room behind me in that doorway, and I had headphones on. I was so scared that there was something in that room. And I had no clue what you guys were doing in that room.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Other than possibly some weird names.
Won't making much sense.
Nothing much making much sense. No strange noises. Nothing like that. So then we went upstairs. And we did this experiment. That's Courtney getting the table set up. So the idea with this table is that we'd put our hands on it. Obviously, you can only get so many people around this table.
Yeah, you just put your fingertips on it.
You put your fingertips on it, and you ask the spirits to rock the table. The idea is the table will go back and forth, and it would be the spirits doing it using your energy. And they even claimed that they'd had that table levitating before.
Oh, like moving down corridors and
stuff. I don't know. I'm not calling them liars, but, I'm skeptical. The table did nothing for us.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much nothing.
That's just... Oh, yeah.
In the same room.
This is in the same room. There was a robot.
I loved that robot.
So, there's another experiment. I kind of missed when she was explaining it. There's a little toy robot, and she puts the robot down, it moves, and it goes in a straight line, and then when it senses something in front of it, it stops and turns and goes in a straight line again. And it makes a noise going like, wow, or something like that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It kept doing that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what it was supposed to be doing, but that little guy was just wandering around.
The spirits were meant to push it over.
Okay.
The only time it fell over was when it hit my foot.
It did keep going to your foot, and it didn't notice something and then stop and turn. It just ran into your foot multiple times.
My theory on that is that I had my docks on, which have got the rubber soles, and I think the rubber on the wheels was stopping it from being able to turn.
Right, maybe.
Because that's why it fell over on my foot. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless...
Ghosts?
Ghosts?
Could be. A chair.
That's a neat chair.
Cool chair.
Whoa.
So I was taking these images with the nighttime mode, and the nighttime mode, because it's dark, but you want the image to come out good, so the nighttime mode takes light from sources around and brightens the rest of the image.
Yeah.
But you have to hold it steady for like 6-7 seconds.
So if the subjects are moving.
Right, people are moving in it, so then they get all these wacky, like, ghosting effects. which happened a few times. But that was pretty much all. Again, no weird noises or anything. As much fun as we were having, it was quite an uneventful night so far, really. You know, a lot of experiments going on that we were trying to find stuff.
Yeah.
So after we finished up with Courtney, we went over to our final session with the guys from the group. Our session with Sue. First thing we did with Sue is she had me holding
like a pendant.
Like a pendant, yeah. So this board, we were doing this in a mortuary, as you can see. The board has a yes, up and down for yes, left and right for no, and then the diagonals were like maybe or...
Yeah, it was like maybe or something like that.
Something like that. The idea was that I would hold this pendant still. She would ask questions, and the ghosts, the spirits, would move it in the direction of what the answer they wanted to give. Again, nothing happened with this, which was
and I'm quite impressed with your ability to hold that thing still, because a bit later I had a go and my arm was like spasming. It was going all over the place, so much so that I was like, I can't do this. I'm not a reliable person. I was like leaning against the wall trying to keep my arm still.
Yeah.
It was not staying still. It was just all over the place, so I stopped that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, anything that it spells out, not true. It's just
Not
me.
true. Yeah. Again, not a whole lot was happening, to be honest with you.
And they had that light thing, didn't they?
Yes, there was a light. So the idea with this light was that this green map of
it's like laser lights, isn't it?
yeah, laser light thing. The idea was that spirits would
Like pass in front of it.
pass through it, so you'd see sort of like an outline, or at least you'd see lights disappearing when they shouldn't be, because as if something was obstructing them. Again, unfortunately, nothing happened. We had the cat balls again as well, and they didn't do anything. So when we started this night, they'd said, "Oh, we don't fudge anything, we don't make anything up, we don't try and plan things to jump scare you, whatever." And I believe them. I don't think they were lying, because not much happened. So in that sense, I think it was good. But I think there was a lot of, as we were doing this, I became more and more convinced that these all of these things, like the pendant, like the dice, like the Ouija board, they're all made to force something to happen that isn't real.
Yeah.
Not that isn't real, but like the idea was that something could happen, you could accidentally do something, and you could attribute it then to a ghost. Mm-hmm. And if something's more likely to accidentally happen when you're doing something weird, like holding a pendant and trying to keep it still, and you can accidentally, just micro movements in your hand, can accidentally start it sort of moving a bit, and then you can start saying, oh, well, that's a ghost.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I'm even less convinced by any of that now than I ever was.
Oh, me as well.
Before. Yeah.
And I was like scared of it before.
It's no replacement for just an old school EVP or a full body apparition.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you want, you know? I'm not sure about any of these gadgets and gizmos.
Yeah.
So after we'd done the pendant thing, we stayed in a mortuary, different area. So we sort of had a similar thing. Was this when she was doing the spirit box again, or was this?
Yeah. So there was a lass round the corner doing the spirit box, which was a bit annoying because the Sue couldn't hear her. So then the lass stood next to her to keep repeating what a friend was saying on the spirit box. And I'm like, we should really just bring her a bit closer.
Yeah.
So I can't hear a word she's saying. But nothing really was coming up there. But Sue wasn't asking a lot of questions. I mean, we didn't have a lot of questions to ask. It was asking the same questions over and over again. This was probably the most boring to me.
Yeah.
It was closer towards the end of the night, and I was like,
we were all a bit tired.
We weren't as engaged. We were all just standing around waiting for something to happen. Whereas before, when we were doing the Ouija board, doing the dice, when we were all stood in a circle with a human pendulum, we were a lot more engaged. But you can see we're literally just all standing around watching and waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
Which, if something did happen, that'd be great.
I mean, to be fair, Ren just got a vendetta against Sue because she didn't.
I don't have a vendetta against Sue.
Sue didn't like your laugh.
She didn't like my laugh. It wasn't that she didn't like my laugh. That's fair enough. I've got an annoying laugh. It was the way she said it. Is it you? Are you the one with a god awful laugh?
So we
No, you've
were
mistaken me for someone else.
in between each session. We'd have a little break. We'd go into this canteen area, and we'd have a bit of a drink, a bite to eat, or whatever, and have a little chat about what we've been doing. And that's when Ren was laughing because we were having a little laugh, and Ren Sue came over.
Yep.
And made fun of Ren's laugh.
Yep.
So.
But that's not why this session was boring.
No, it was boring because we were all a bit tired and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So, those are our 3 sessions. Again, we had a little break after that. And then they said to us that we can go and do solo sessions. So we were unsupervised. We had free access to roam around the museum, all we wanted. They offered, they said you can use our equipment. You can take this, that, and the other. But as we've just discussed, we're not convinced by any of that stuff. So we had our own recorder, and obviously had our phones. So we thought we'd try a couple of things. So first we went downstairs to Disease Street, but there was a lot of people about.
Everyone was pretty much downstairs.
So first we were like, oh, let's go downstairs and do it. But then loads of people showed up, so we were like, it's too loud, which was another kind of issue. I understand why it's like the way it is, because they need a lot of people. They're trying to make money.
Yeah.
But it's a few too many people for this. It's hard to have silence to listen out for things.
Yeah.
When you can hear the other
There's
group
something
laughing
happening
elsewhere.
Elsewhere in the building, yeah.
Yeah. So we decided to move on from Disease Street, and we went back upstairs.
Because no one was upstairs.
And this is when things start to get a little bit interesting. Not at the time. At the time, we didn't necessarily notice anything. But upon reviewing the recordings and some footage, there's little bits of things here and there.
Little bits of things.
So we were in, I think it was this room.
So that's where all the medical equipment was.
Yeah.
You haven't shown the Among Us suit.
There is an Among Us suit. Here it is.
There it is. It's a bit sus.
It's very sus. I'm not sure if we have an image of the actual room, because there was nothing special about the room as such.
No.
But we put a recorder in the room and said, we're going to leave this here for a little bit. If anyone wants to say anything, say something now. And we left the room to let that happen by itself. So that would happen in the first recording. So Ren's not heard these yet, so I'm gonna let Ren listen to them, and we'll see what she thinks. This is the first recording in the room, and at first we said, is there anything, and nothing happened until we get to 117 in the recording, and there's a little bit of something. Tell me if you hear anything. Did you hear it?
I could hear myself laughing.
Let me go back again. Tell me if you hear a bang.
I heard a footstep.
In the room?
Yeah.
It sounded like it was in the room.
It's a bit quiet. I can't quite hear it.
That's okay. We can make it louder.
It's like a footstep.
Sounds a bit like a footstep, yeah.
Yeah, or like, like when you open your mouth to talk.
Yeah.
I don't
But
like that.
yeah,
Like
it's
a
not.
foot peeling off the
It's
floor.
not necessarily anything crazy, but it's a bit of a noise. Which there was no one in the room. Again, there are people about, so I don't know for sure that it wasn't elsewhere, but it sounded to me at least like it was sort of in the room.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a weird noise. And then next we have the second audio recording, which I believe we leave this in the apothecary room.
In the apothecary, yeah.
So there are 2 sounds on this. So we did the same thing again and put it in the room and said, if anyone has anything to say, we're going to leave this here for a minute. Go ahead and say something. So then we go to 120 in the recording, and there is a sound. It's only quite faint, but let me know if you hear it.
heard a bang.
You heard a bang.
I don't know if that was a door.
So did you hear the static?
Go back. Like the.
From 1:20 to 1:30.
Yeah, it's like a high pitched like
Right.
noise. And then, but I think that was the hand dryer of the toilets, wasn't it?
You think?
I think so.
Could have been.
I know at this point there were that couple walking.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just the hand dryer, I don't know. But these again, this is just little bits of stuff that we could find. So then there was one last noise on the audio recording at 2:05.
Yeah, it's a bang.
You heard the bang?
Yeah, but I heard the bang earlier as well. It's like a.
Yeah. But you heard it in the other recording, right?
I heard it at the 120 bit in this one. There,
Wow.
same noise.
At what time?
That right there.
1:26.
Yeah, have a listen.
Right, so that's like a door, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe so. Those were the two audio recordings we got. So we were wandering about, and it was coming towards the end of the night, and we had just a little bit of time, and we were like, let's try one last thing. So we went back down to Disease Street because it had cleared out then a bit,
Yeah.
and we took some video, proper ghost hunting style, holding it, walking around quietly, asking questions, stopping, listening. It's pitch black, but except for our torches, proper classic style, and no voices or anything, but there was one noise, and we'll let this video play on the actual video because I think it's quite tense, so maybe the audience hears something we didn't. But then we'll go to the one bit towards the end where something happened, and we comment on it in the video.
We are here in Disease Street. It's full of disease. And it stinks. Is it Disease Street or Disease Alley? It's diseased anyway. Over here. And some poop eyes. And a poopy toilet. Believed to be haunted. It's way too quiet, man.
Yeah, there's no one down here, which is good.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That scared me. That woman at door. Oh my God.
It's just the floor. Any ghosts here with us? Any spirits?
Any of that?
Have you got anything to say?
I'm a bit scared.
Damn torch. If you could speak with us, tell us your name. Tell us what year you think it is. Any kind of communication is appreciated. Well, this place used to be a workhouse. You weren't treated very well, I'm sure. Boo-hoo. Or were you in the hospital during the First World War? Sorry, I say first. You didn't know there was a second. My bad.
Did we look for this?
No.
I think it has to be lit. Let's see. Any spirits that are. Come say hello.
Bit spooky in here, isn't it?
It is spooky. Very spooky. That's my turn. Make a noise, go on. Anyone at all?
What was that?
Did you hear that?
I heard it. I thought you'd hit that barrel or something.
No, I won't even hear it. Unless you...
If that was any spirit making a noise, can you do it again for us?
Go on, make the noise again. Do you want us to leave? Was it that door again?
No. Can you replicate it? Knock on something, see if it makes a noise.
Oh, like that.
It sounded a bit like that.
I can't remember what it sounded like now.
That was me. Surely you made that noise. Make it again.
Go if you don't. Oh,
We're not here for much longer.
come on. People need to know about you. Make the noise again.
There must be something you've got to say. Well, guess we're gonna go. Missed your chance. Silly.
Oh my god. I didn't know I actually got it on video.
Yeah, it's on video. So what do you think? We'll play it again.
Wow.
Go back to it again. What was that?
Did you hear that?
I heard it. I thought you'd hit that barrel or something.
See, it looks like it was my Sainsbury's bag hitting the barrel because I look a lot closer to it than I was. It was
Yeah.
not that. I wasn't as close to it as I looked there.
Yeah, that was from my point of view, and it did look like you were next to the barrel. So like, it's probably the barrel, and it does
But
sound like
even
the barrel.
then-
When you knock the barrel, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but even then, if it was that, the only thing that was in that bag was a hoodie.
Right.
I didn't have anything
Nothing hard to
hard
knock
that would
against.
hit
Yeah.
it. But I wasn't as... It looks like I'm closer to it than I was. Nothing of me touched it. That's why I reacted like that.
Yeah, but again, it's not. This isn't something like possibly the other bangs from the audio where it's maybe a door in a different room. This was in
that room, and there was no one else there. Like, people had started going home at that point. A lot of the groups had left.
Yeah.
Because this was just before we left, so there was only like us and like one other group left.
Yeah. So then. yeah, so that was kind of our experience
Yeah.
there.
I enjoyed
Make of it what
it.
you will.
I had no idea we had that on recording.
Yeah.